Welcome to LMC-TV's coverage of the 71st Annual Parade for the Mamaroneck Fire Department. I'm Alice Bloom, and with me is...
This got Ken Barron again for the annual parade. Got a glorious evening here on Mamaroneck Avenue. The sun is hiding behind the building, so we won't get overheated, if you will.
And I guess we're hearing the first motorcycle.
Yes, we have a motorcycle unit coming, and actually the motorcycle unit's being led by Sergeant Doug Barron, who's doing his last parade as a member of the local police department. He's been a motorcycle operator here in the village for a good number of years, and he's about to end a career here and move on to Florida along with the rest of the New Yorkers.
Now, Doug Barron is a very special person to you.
Absolutely, it's a nephew.
Oh, and he's retiring after 23
Actually,
years.
in addition to Doug being a member of the police department, he's also a career paramedic. So when he's not doing police work, he's doing paramedic work.
Well, he'll be missed, I'm sure.
I'm sure he will.
Now, they're doing a special presentation in his honor.
Yes,
now.
I do believe, we're not on camera, but I do believe that he's leading the motorcycle parade. And I've been told I can't turn around and look, and I don't have a rear view mirror. So here we go.
All right, well, we're going to turn it over to the camera for now.
And also, you'll probably hear behind us, we're competing with the announcement from the judging stand behind us, and their speakers are rather loud, so it may be a lot of background.
Okay.
Even the motorcycles quieted down. How about that?
They did, just for a moment. We're sitting just below the reviewing stand, and they are making some special presentations right now.
Yes, they are. In his behalf, I do believe.
So we'll be quiet for just a moment so the folks at home can listen.
Sergeant Doug Barron, you retired. It's been an honor and a privilege to work with you, Sergeant. God bless and enjoy your retirement.
I'm sure he's going to find that very emotional.
Well, that's a special fire department shout out to Doug Barron, in case you don't realize it. Once again, I'm Alice Bloom, and with me is Ken Barron for our yearly coverage.
Yearly outing together.
Yeah,
how about that?
Covering the Mamaroneck Village Fireman's Parade. And as I said, this is the 71st annual parade.
There you go.
And we've been doing it for 71 years, Ken.
That feels like it.
Thanks.
We've been around for about 30 of them, I think.
Well, close to
you and I
it.
started somewhere in the 80s, didn't we?
I think we did,
Yes.
but we haven't changed at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. But we're so glad to be able to bring the parade to our viewers live tonight. It's an especially warm evening, and while the street is actually pretty comfortable now, you can stay home and watch us.
Yeah, actually I'm feeling a slight breeze going by, so that's going to make it a little more comfortable.
Right, it's much more comfortable than we thought it was going to be. We're going to let this pass by.
Yeah, I don't think we can talk over that. Doug waving at the crowd. And you'll also...
Those motorcycles are not from the town of Mamaroneck.
They are all of the visiting communities around us to share motorcycle services within the police department. There's a pretty good contingent of motorcycle here in Westchester County. And they mostly make all the parades as a group, and
Okay. And
they lead off some of them.
who are we going to see next?
Who are we going to see now? Well, the motorcycle group just went by, and then we're going to see the Westchester Brassmen coming through. Also a very renowned group around here.
Okay.
They're made up of a lot of volunteer firemen. The the unit comes out of Harrison, but they perform all over the lower Hudson Valley.
Okay, so it's hard to talk above them, but we have a moment here. So let me just tell those folks at home that in case you don't know, LMC-TV has moved. We are no longer on Library Lane, but the studios and the administrative offices are now located in the Mamaroneck Town Center. Come see the fabulous new studios. We're open from 12 till about 10 at
I
night.
hate to admit it, but I went to elementary school there.
Well, it's a very different building now, and the third floor is dedicated to LMC-TV. So we welcome the community to stop by and visit and see what we've got going on there.
Should be good to see. Any particular shows coming up? What are you
there are
hosting at the moment?
Oh, well, I continue to host a town and village too, but there are so many shows produced by many, many other producers. So we'll be talking about them a little later on. While we have a minute, let me just give a shout out to some of the people who've helped make tonight possible. You know, we're sitting on a flatbed truck. We're a little elevated, and
Yes, we are.
we have Vincent's Garage to thank. So thank you, Vincent's, a very community-minded garage in the village of Mamaroneck. And we're sitting right outside of Boyano's Bakery.
Yeah, and I can smell the bakery, and we're opposite the main hosiery, if you know the avenue.
Well, Cosmos Deli is also a great help to us. They allow us to put our equipment through there and hook up our electric through them. So we couldn't be here without them.
Yeah, the local merchants have been very helpful, allowing us to put this program on. We're using up their electricity.
Mamaroneck Town.
As we see, we have the brassmen are just coming by, and then we have the lead off of the Mamaroneck Village Fire Department Color Guard, made up of ex-Captain Arthur Skippy Donahue, ex-Captain William Frazier, ex-Captain William Snyder, firefighter Warren Powell.
I said before, it's an all-volunteer fire department. It's probably one of the most, if not the most important groups in the village of Mamaroneck as far as concerned, because it certainly represents what this country is. With all the craziness going on and people talking at each other, to each other, you look around here, this is America, like I said. People are enjoying this. It's families. I've been coming to this parade. I'm going to be 76 years old in December, and I've been coming since the first one.
Wow, wait, what year was that?
Well, the first one I think was in the late 40s, around 47, 48. I'm not too sure. But I used to, right on top of what is Molly explains now was my Uncle Ruby Serlin's office, and all the kids went up to watch it. It was great. And you remember things as these little kids remember when they grow up. We had a woman from Portchester that was twirling lit fires as she was twirling. It was great. That was fantastic. But it was great. You get all the volunteers from the different departments, and even some of the paid departments come here. And it's just, you cannot make up the value of this to society in America.
What does that mean?
Wrap it up. It's time to wrap it up. Former politician or not, you got to cut them off. I'll see you later. Have a
Norm,
great time.
thank
Good.
you.
Welcome back. We've just seen the contingent from the town of Mamaroneck, haven't we, Ken?
Yes, they just went through. You folks at home probably saw the Grand Marshal go by, past
Right.
Chief Kevin Dellner.
And who's the Grand Marshal tonight?
It was past Chief Kevin Dellner, came out of the Holston Engine Company, number 38. Also, we're currently getting a 50-year member going by, past Chief John Barney.
50 years, John Barney. I see him all the time at Brewers. 50 years.
He's actually retired out of Brewers.
Is he really?
Yes,
oh,
he is.
okay. Well, he must have been a child when he joined the fire department.
Occasionally, I see him back there filling in. Also, we had Bud Wright as the Grand Marshal. I believe he was riding in one of the vehicles that went past us here. Or is it actually looks like that's the car coming up.
Okay, and we have some other dignitaries coming down. We have Chief Tracy Schmalling, who will be in this procession, along with First Assistant Chief Peter Primrose, Second Assistant Chief Vincent Costa, with his daughters, Brianna and Julia. There'll be a car driven by ex-captain Thomas Salazzo, and a couple of other cars behind.
Yeah, it was something we've been doing for a while now, is allowing the younger children to march with their fathers. They get a kick out of it, and the dads get to show off.
Okay. Now, John had his children with him as well. John Barney. He had his son, who's an ex-captain.
He's an ex-captain now, yes. The fire department is made up of lots of family.
50-year member, past Chief John Barney.
And Village Justice Daniel J. Gallagher.
There you go.
Okay, the Village of Mamaroneck officials coming down the street now. Well, people don't look too weary for wear tonight. I was worried about the heat.
No, this is very comfortable. Actually, it's just for a summertime walk. This is rather
This is not too bad.
enjoyable.
Well, people are walking rather slowly, but they don't seem particularly worn out. I'm grateful to see that. Okay. Well, we have village officials, Mayor Tom Murphy, Deputy Mayor Trustee Victor Tafour, Trustee Nora Lucas, Trustee Leon Potok, Trustee Keith Waite, Village of Manager Robert Yamuder, Assistant Village Manager Dan Sarnoff, Clerk Treasurer Augie Fusco, Police Chief Chris Leahy, Village Justice Christine Derrico, and Village Justice Dan Gallagher. Okay. Now, is that the American Legion coming down the street?
I believe I saw some of them. The Legion's Color Guard. That's where we're at. The Legion Color Guard.
Right.
These are going.
We're getting some really great shots of our local officials.
I believe that's our scout post going by.
Okay, so they were the Explorer Post 444.
And along through the years, the Explorer Post has been very supportive of the fire department, and across the years, we've had a number of young people start with the Florix Post, be in the fire department long enough and interested enough to raise the level of department chief. Chief Primrose, who's now first assistant chief at the moment, did start with the Scouts.
Now, we get a lot of members of our fire department from the Explorers Club.
Yes, they come in when they're about 14 if they have a real interest in the firefighting skills and whatnot. They do at age 18, they can convert over to be members of the fire department. As a scout, they practice a lot of the skills, but they're not allowed into fire structures. They do get drills where they get to handle the hose and put up ladders and learn the speech of the fire service.
Okay. Now, Ken, what are we looking at?
We have an antique unit coming up. There is a fella in the Larchmont Fire Department who's a member of the Larchmont Historical Society, and he's gone out and found some older equipment which he puts back together. He's got a 1922 American LaFrance. There's a 1910 brush truck and an 1891 chemical truck. I think that's the one with a tank on it.
Oh my gosh. Now
that's probably that 1922 American LaFrance.
Okay. Now there's going to be a 1989 E1.
Yeah, it's an engine. E1 is an engine manufacturer,
Okay.
privately owned, and our fire chief of the Sianoy Indian Fire Chief will be riding in it.
Okay, so here's our first real contingent.
And the Sayanoy Indian chief is Anthony Tripko. Like, take that back. Joe Ritchie, he's riding in Anthony Tripko's
I don't
truck.
know. Isn't this
Oh, he's
Joe
got him
Ritchie?
walking. All right.
Oh,
Our
he
script
was going
says
to
he'll be in the
a truck.
vehicle.
He was going to be in a truck, but he changed his mind. Okay, now here's our first division. Mamaroneck Town is marching with the Westchester Police Emerald Society. Contingents that can hire a band to be with them.
Yep, Westchester Police Emerald Society. Another, we also have a talking during bagpipes and sirens.
Beautiful contingent.
Following the Emerald Society, I believe we're going to find the Carmel Fire Department following in.
Well, I think we're still looking at the town of Mamaroneck, aren't we?
That's what it looks like, yes.
Walking behind us.
Yes, they're in behind us. So that's the members
Now,
of the
what a
town of
beau-
Mamaroneck. They're passing by us.
What a beautiful contingent. And they certainly were complimented by the Emerald Society, who made a very dramatic showing in their orange skirts,
There you
orange
go.
kilts. Thanks to our friends in the town of Mamaroneck. And now, who is this little buggy?
I don't see that one on our list, so I'm not exactly sure what that is.
That's a new one to me.
Looks like a utility vehicle they might use to get around when you have major fires and they move things around the department on fireground activity.
Now, pacing this parade is no small feat.
No, because there is an issue. The parade crosses Boston Post Road, and since that is a state highway and a main north and south artery, they do have to stop the parade to allow a certain amount of traffic to pass through. So we will get pauses as we go along.
Well, but they're doing a magnificent job. Now, there are over 30 contingents that are going to be marching today.
Right. This looks like the town of Mamaroneck unit that you're looking on, and I would venture to say they have emptied the fire barn in town of Mamaroneck. Everything is here.
But of course, they're not very far from home.
No, they're just, if they got a call, they would break and move out.
And they go down to the post road.
And they do go
make
to
a
Harbor
turn.
Island, and I'm sure one or two of these assigned contingents will make a right and go back to the firehouse.
Right. Somebody's got to be minding us.
Yes, but they are on call and would respond as needed.
And who will we look for after Mamaroneck Town?
Looks like that would be the Carmel unit coming in. I believe the next group of walking people, firefighters, will be Carmel.
Okay, and I don't see that they have a band with them today.
No, it doesn't look that way.
Okay. Town
What they attempt to do is they try to spread the bands out so we don't get large pieces of quiet. Heaven forbid we have quiet.
Oh, no. Well, we don't want quiet the night of the Village Fireman's Parade.
Can't have a parade and be quiet. Yes, I would imagine that this group coming up is the Carmel group.
Okay. Saying hi to the reviewers.
There you go.
The reviewing stand is just above us. Now, it must be quite an honor to come into Mamaroneck because so many departments apply for the privilege.
Yes, this is one of the more renowned parades around. It's one of the easier walks for a number of these communities that have them. Also, that everybody ends up in Harbor Island, and they're rewarded with a hot dog and a beer, or soda, depending on age.
And that's compelling.
That's compelling, absolutely.
Well, how many firemen's parades are there throughout Westchester in a season?
There's usually almost, I would say, one every other week from mid-June through September.
One every other week. Wow, that's a lot of parades. And do people try to do more than one?
Yeah, well, we go to a half a dozen of them. We try to respond to people that came to march here, and we go back there. Some of our local fire company members have friends in places like Pleasantville or Ossining or other side of the county. So we'll make efforts to get there.
Okay.
Also, if we don't go to other people's parade, they might not come to our parade. So
okay,
reciprocating.
Ken, I think we're about to see the Harrison contingent now. And they are bringing the Nassau County fife, pipes, and drums.
Right.
So I hear them coming down the street.
And when they get closer, we do be quiet. Following the fife and drum corps is the Harrison Fire Department, and here again they've probably emptied the barn and everybody's here. Harrison's also looks like they brought most of their equipment, about 7 pieces of equipment that are listed on our sheet here, and all their chief cars. You will notice that the fire service has really taken on SUVs for fire chiefs simply because of the amount of equipment. And the back end of a lot of them, if you'll see the back, is where the radio communications are. They can talk out of those things to local police departments, Westchester County Communications, and other agencies as needed.
Is there a limit on how much equipment a contingent may bring with them?
It's up to the department chief.
Okay.
Whatever he's comfortable with.
Okay, so this most likely they want to show off their newest and best?
Newest and best, or their oldest and some departments still keep 1 or 2 what they call parade units, which they take around to the parades.
Now Harrison is right next door, but the next contingent is from Levittown.
There you go. They've taken a ride.
They came a long way.
Well, we do have a trophy that's awarded for those that come the longest distance. So Levittown will be in the running, and we get towards the end of the parade, we've got Bordiga. There's also Broad Channel, which is out the other side of Long Island. So we do have a reputation spread out across the area.
So who has come the furthest? Is it Bogota?
Bogota, I think.
Or Pagoda, I think. That's how we say it here.
Pagoda, you're right.
I'm going to say it right. While we have a little lull, I was giving a little bit of a shout out to all the people who helped make this coverage of the parade happen. And of course, as we said, we're sitting right next to Boiano's Bakery. Thank you. The best biscotti in Westchester, I think. Are you listening? Cosmo's Deli, of course. They help feed our crew. And the Village of Mamaroneck DPW. We could not do this without them.
Absolutely.
They are just so helpful and just wonderful. And of course, Village Manager Rob Yamuder has been incredibly helpful in doing all the necessary to get us here.
Yes, and at the end of the parade, while it won't be televised, the DPW will be following at the end of the parade to get Mamaroneck Avenue back in shape for the morning.
Well, when you come here at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, you'd never know there was a parade. It's all clean.
But they'll be out here sweeping.
They'll be out here at 9:30 tonight.
Yep.
Right after
they
the
usually
fire.
follow right after the parade, very shortly after the parade.
Yeah.
Getting things reorganized.
Well, that helps because it's a little disruptive in the village. If you're with the program, then you're enjoying it. But if you're not, you want to go back to real life.
There's also the sawhorses that they use to block the different intersections. All have to be picked up and returned and things of that nature.
Now, do we have help from the state police also in managing traffic?
There's a sheriff's organization that usually comes out and assists us a great deal. State police will have a few people in the area, but a lot of the traffic duty was being extra traffic duty was being handled by the sheriff's division.
Okay, so this takes an awful lot of cooperation to
A lot of manpower to make this work.
Sure.
Absolutely. Just think of all the intersections that have to simply be closed off and somebody manned so that we don't have people running through the barricades where we're causing an issue, moving traffic around the community.
Okay. Well, you know, there's so many events coming up in the village of Mamaroneck. We'll talk in a little while.
As I had mentioned, here's one from Harrison. They have a 1924 chemical truck. It's an antique that's following the end of their group here.
Now, is this the Nassau County Fife Pipes and Drums?
That should be them.
Okay, well, let's listen quietly.
Looking on the monitor, I think we're looking at the Dixie Dandies that are coming up. They have those striped vests.
Oh, they're going to lead in Hastings. Okay. What fun.
I don't know that they're leading the departments as they show on our list because they do spread them out through the
Well, they're to
parade.
lead in Hastings. So sometimes a contingent gets here a little bit late and they may be repositioned.
That's it.
Let them pass. Yeah, you can't talk about it.
And I see there's a number 5 on the engine's windshield, so that's the Hastings unit coming through.
Okay. So that was the Dixie Dandies.
Yes.
And they are leading in?
Well, there's a number 5 on the windshield. Our list says that's Hastings coming through. So
Okay.
That's helpful when we're here that they put the number on the lead engine, so we'll know
Right.
which unit we're looking at.
Okay. We are going to go to another interview with our friend Rebecca Berman at the Local Live.
Shelley, how is it?
Oh, it's a beautiful parade. So much fun. The weather broke and it's lovely. All these fabulous fire departments, all the kids out. Couldn't be nicer. I'm thrilled to be here.
And it's also unbelievable. There are so many firemen here who are all volunteer.
It's really remarkable, and just what a brotherhood and a sisterhood they have, and us today. And everyone gets a big thrill out of being here. It's a delight. I'm very, very fortunate to be able to share in it.
Well, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And we're back. All right, well, we saw the Dixie Dandies and the Hastings Fire Department, Ken. Who's behind us now?
I'm not picking it up on the screen.
Okay, well, behind us looks like probably the Kent Fire Department.
All right, with that yellow piece of equipment, looks like something I've seen up in the Kent area. So I'm going to say
listen.
Kent, which is up in the Carmel area, Putnam
Okay.
County kind of area.
Now,
And this
Ken,
is a tanker coming along, which that's how they get their water north
they
of
have to carry their
287.
own water? Oh my
North
gosh.
of 287, you don't have the hydrant system we have in the lower end of the county.
Now, is the fire department doing its carnival this year?
Absolutely. It started on Friday and it'll run through this coming Saturday night. It is the carnival started way back in 1947, and we've been running it just about every year. And when it first started out, it used to be like in September, later in the
We're
year.
here with Tom Murphy, Mayor, Village of Mamaroneck. So how is it going today?
I think it's going great, Rebecca. It's a beautiful night for a parade. It cooled off a little bit as it got later. Everybody seemed to be having a great time. A lot of kids on the avenue with their horns, which I'm sure the parents are going to love that they're going to have those all summer. But it's a great night for Mamaroneck. It's my first parade as mayor, and so far so good.
So have you been here other years when you weren't the mayor?
Oh yeah, I marched for years when I was a trustee. I marched when I was a town of Mamaroneck councilman. I participated as a spectator for years and years. You know, it's one of the great things about Mamaroneck. It gives you that small town, hometown feel. Everybody comes out. You get to see people you haven't seen in a long time. You get to meet your neighbors, and you get to watch a great parade.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us today.
Thank you, Rebecca. Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right, looks like we've moved along to Portchester with the Fairfield County Police Pipe and Drum Corps.
Okay, Fairfield County. So these are our friends from Portchester.
Yes, and they'll be leading the Portchester Fire Department, which we should also see. It usually has a very good turnout also.
Yes.
With another one of our trophies given out is for the most men in line, and it looks like Portchester has done a very nice job coming down the street. And you'll notice they're marching fairly tightly, so they got a good-sized crew. Washington Engine Hose Company, one of the Portchester companies.
You know, as I drove over the Tappan Zee Bridge earlier today, I was following fire trucks, and I followed them all the way to the village of Mamaroneck.
There you go. You might have been there with...
and nobody exceeded the speed limit. Everybody was very, very good. Now, is it logical to say that the neighboring fire departments send the most people?
Yeah, it's
The largest contingent.
And everybody lives kind of in the area, so it's not as difficult to break away and go off for the evening.
Do they come with their own cars, or they come in trucks?
It's a combination. They live, plus, in fact, a lot of them are going to have family members with them. You can't really ride the family members on the fire apparatus.
But then
That's
they can
frowned
bring their
upon.
family members to...
Yeah, well, they come to the parades and they're down for the carnival. For those not living in the area.
All right. Well, we're going back to the local live, and Rebecca Berman, who has George Latimer, our county executive, with her.
Okay, hi, we're here with County Executive George Latimer, Westchester County Executive. So, George, how is the parade going today?
Well, it's terrific. The weather has held up in terms of rain. It's a little hot, and I think everybody feels it, but it's a great crowd today, and it really shows off Mamaroneck and Mamaroneck Avenue at its best. You're seeing, fire trucks from every corner of the region. I think we have some Portchester ones passing by now. And, the Russians like to show their missiles on their big holidays. We show our fire equipment.
I like that. And I just asked you before we were on camera, how many years have you been here?
Well, I started representing Larchmont and Mamaroneck in 1991 as a county legislator. I've been a state assemblyman, a state senator before being county executive. So I'm in my 26th year of representation. And I was 37 then, now I was 38 then, I'm 64 now. It goes fast.
Wait, and I thought you were going to say 39 now.
Now, it would be nice to say that, but that would be a lie. Politicians do enough of that, so I thought I'll tell the truth. But I will turn 65 this year, and all I want to know is how much discounts do I get? How much do I get at the movie theater when they reopen?
Yes, yeah, me too. Thank you for joining us today.
It's a pleasure. Great parade, and great job by LMC and the local live covering it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome back. We've just seen the West Harrison contingent
Yes,
walk
go.
by.
There
Now,
you go.
West Harrison as opposed to Harrison, is that a separate community?
Western area, they also refer to as Silver Lake area up around
okay,
the
that's
it's
how
up
it
borders. It's actually north of 287, bordering
It's
White
funny
Plains,
interviewing
Okay.
politicians
and they have
and,
that
like,
lake
kind of
called
people
Silver
live.
Lake, so it's referring to it.
Okay, I've always heard it talked about as Silver Lake. Now, how many pieces of equipment did West Harrison bring?
West Harrison had a pretty good grouping. We had 1, 2, looks like 3 units, a support utility vehicle that looked SUV-ish, the Chief's cars. So there was a tower ladder and 2 pumpers. and a noisy siren.
You can't talk over that, Ken. Now, West Harrison didn't bring a band with them, so they're making a lot of noise on their own.
And also, I think we're going to get a little bit of a spacing here because that ended the first division. And since they have to make that break at the Boston Post Road, things might slow down here a little bit.
Oh, good. Well, this is a good chance for us to talk about the carnival a little bit.
Yes, at the end of Mamaroneck Avenue down in Harbor Island Park. For those of you that don't know the area, we have our carnival, which started last Friday. We'll run through Saturday night. If you drive by on the Post Road, you'll see the big Ferris wheels they've got down there. There's a number of, one section that's for the younger members of the family with a number of child rides and things for the younger people.
So the carnival will go on until through next weekend?
Saturday evening, somewhere around 10 o'clock, they'll pull the raffle ticket. In the course of things, we sell a raffle ticket to raise funds for the fire department.
Okay, so where would anybody buy a raffle ticket?
Most of the members that are down there will have them in their pocket. There's also one booth right at the entrance where you can pick up a ticket. And if you got one in your neighborhood, he'll be happy to sell you a couple.
Okay, so if somebody wants to buy a ticket and hasn't seen a firefighter, you can go to any of the firehouses.
Generally, the fellas that are around, particularly on Sunday morning, there's usually a contingent sitting around at the firehouse.
Okay.
But if you see the doors are open, I'm sure somebody there will be happy to sell you a ticket.
Okay, I think we've got the contingent from Ardsley being led in by the Tappan Zee Bridgemen.
There we go.
Oh, there's another old pumper.
Yes, this is East Farmingdale. It's come in from a distance away. And they brought with them an antique Mack pumper dated for 1951. Like followed by Ardsley and the
Ardsley
department, which
right,
is,
and they brought
an
in
antique pumper also, a Seagrave, 1928. And you'll notice those heavy black hoses that are hanging on the side of it. That's used for drafting water out of ponds, lakes, or anywhere they can get a body of water.
We take so much for granted down counter.
Yeah, well, Ardsley, back in the day that truck was in service, the water distribution was not what it is today.
Right. But imagine having to tap the lake or the local body of water to put out a fire.
Especially when you're working in north of 287, a lot of those departments do a lot of drafting out of local. And you could actually, they know where all the swimming pools are. You could have your swimming pool emptied one night.
Oh my God, has anyone ever done that?
If it's bad enough fire, it could happen, yes.
Oh my gosh, who knew? I know that there's a certain advantage. I remember having a house next to a fire hydrant.
Yes. There's less stretch of hose on the ground, so the water supply is a little bit quicker to your door than
and you
elsewhere.
got a little break with the insurance too.
Yeah, actually, distance from firehouse also helps with your insurance. But since we have 5 houses here in the village, that's somewhat mute because everybody's within a half a mile or so of one of our firehouses.
Sure. Well, we're pretty close. All right, who do we have coming down now? We have Armonk. Or is Armonk town of North Castle?
And North Castle, the large area that has a number of fire companies and communities within the town of North Castle. You'll see some of the names on the fire units as they go by. Also, they'll do north of their community broke into fire districts, and you may see on the side of the units a particular district number. That's how they break up the community for fire prevention and assign district coverage to the different companies.
Now, there's so much work in preparing the marching order of this parade.
Yes, and particularly when they roll into town off of 95
Oh, my
or
gosh.
287 that you followed home. Then they have to be assigned. What they usually do is they line up the parade on the side streets off Mamaroneck Avenue down in the area of Mamaroneck Avenue School, and then the marshals line them up, and as the parade starts, they're brought out of the different side streets to fall into their line of march.
So does HAP know ahead of time what the order will be?
As they come into town, they get an assignment. Then most of the time, the chief stops by the engine company house, volunteer engine number down here on the bend of Mamaroneck Avenue there. That's where the judges and stuff will, marshals will meet to set up the parade.
Now we're watching the City of Rye. They're supposed to have the Emerald Society pipe band with them.
And they got Orangeburg. That's another. That's on the other side of the river also. So Tappan Zee Bridge. I'm sorry, the Cuomo Bridge was very busy this evening.
We're always going to call it Tappan Zee. I'm sorry, but I don't think that we're ever going to adjust to a new name. So we've had the City of Rye, and then they're followed by Orangeburg.
And they're really spreading around because then you jump back this side of the river and we'll find Purchase following them.
Well, that's why I wondered if there was any intention in the order.
Actually, I believe the order is set up how when they reply that they're coming, when their item comes in the mail, that's kind of how they set up who's coming.
Okay.
That's how you would get to Orangeburg in between Rye and Purchase. So it's kind of based on the way they reply to the invitation.
Okay. Well, this is Orangeburg, and they're going to be followed by the Tappan Zee Bridgemen, who will be bringing in Purchase.
And the Tappan Zee Bridgemen, they're going to be in the next division also, so that means they get to the Boston Post Road and they hustle them back to the start of the parade. These guys will be tired.
Well, they probably took an Uber.
That looks like a Purchase unit that I remember being working around.
Right. The
What
Tappan
that
Zee
looks like.
Bridgemen brought in the Purchase unit. And then we're going to have the Regulators, who we can see up the street, bringing in Mahopac Falls.
There you go. I believe on screen, though, we have the Purchase division coming up, and they'll be followed by the
There we go. Those are the Regulators.
And this is the Regulators coming through the... right, we've got 2 divisions down, Alice.
Oh, that means that we're halfway done.
Halfway there.
Oh
halfway
no!
mark.
Oh no! Say it's not so. We take a break, I guess, before
And,
we bring
there's
in.
a little bit of a spacing here, so I'm sure that's the opening for the Boston Post Road once they reach that point.
Okay. Now, when are fireworks this year?
Wednesday evening, 4th of July.
On the 4th.
Mother Nature's good to us. That'll be off there. They fire them off right about dusk, dark, somewhere around 9 o'clock-ish time frame.
Okay.
Is when they'll go off.
Okay. All right.
And this is the next division, and that's past Chief Robert Pesci that was on the screen briefly.
And this would be St. Peter's,
Yep, St. Peter's.
bringing in the Ossining Fire Department.
One of those marching bands that does a lot of competition type, along with parades and whatnot, competes among the band competition units that are out there. That's the first twirler I've seen this evening.
First one.
This may well be Ossining coming up. Where are we here?
It's
Is
a
that what
beautiful
St. Peter's-
contingent. Ossining will be followed by Greenwich.
Number 16. Yes, number 16 is the Ossining group.
Now there's John Barney. Little bit of a hold-up.
Yep, a little bit. Spacing and timing of the parade is also
Now, where
a
do
tight skill.
does all the equipment go into the harbor?
Most of it is, they've got a section down there. Usually they reserve for the parking of the apparatus. I believe over towards the west side, what we call the West Basin parking area.
Okay.
A lot of it will go over there. It's an easy walk back into the carnival grounds for the members.
Oh, I see the Spirit of 76, and they'll be bringing in the Eastchester department. Now they're in the distance. You can look over our shoulders. And I hear them just coming up now.
You'll notice is you'll pick up some buses in here from time to time. The fire departments have added buses for really in bad weather. Sometimes they're used for rehab when get the firefighters out of the weather a little bit in the really bad weather. In addition to moving personnel back and forth for things like parades and training at the county center and items like that.
The Eastchester
And that-
Volunteer Firefighters. And that was the Spirit of 76 bringing them in.
Got some interesting ties on those fellas. Hey, that's a little different.
Now, pretty soon we'll be seeing our neighbors from the village of Larchmont. There they are. And they're being brought in by, you got it, the Tappan Zee Bridgemen.
And there you go. They're coming up behind them.
All right. We're going to the local live now for
I'm
another.
here with a bunch of really cute kids who are watching the parade. Let's find out who we've got with us. What are your names?
Gianna.
Adriana.
Gianna.
Madison. Hey, girls. So what do you think of the parade? I'll go to each one of you can tell me.
I think it's really, really fun.
I think it's really good. It's really fun. There's a lot of fun things, and like especially the dancers and the fire trucks.
It's really fun, even though it's really loud and sticky and hot.
Yeah. It may be hot, but it's really fun, and it's fun seeing all that protect us walk by us.
I'm glad you guys are all having a good time. Have a good 4th of July.
You too!
Perfect, you guys. Thank you.
All right, we got Larchmont coming.
There
And
they
those
are.
bridge, this band has been very busy. They were leading a
Right.
couple of units out here tonight.
Let's have a shout out for our neighbors, the village of Larchmont.
That looks like we got most of the equipment from Larchmont too here tonight.
I miss the old hats from the village of Larchmont.
Yeah, little by little they've worn those out and parts aren't available. And
Oh.
the last that I spoke to one of the fellas, they were down to like a dozen of them maybe because they've gotten old and tired. But
Well-
actually, those things go back to the 1800s.
I
so.
know. They always worried me a little bit because there were real fires on the top of people's marchers'
Well,
heads.
that was before flashlights and batteries. You know, you
I
needed to see
understand.
where you were going.
But they were something to behold, that's for sure. All right, well, Larchmont is going to be followed by Rowayton, Connecticut.
Yes. We do get around, don't we, with us?
We're covering a large part of the metropolitan area, that's for sure. Now, is there any fire department that does something truly unique in their fire parade?
You know, I don't. Nothing unique. We had a band a couple years ago. They stopped and put on a show in front of the judging thing, slowed things down. But basically, nothing unique as far as the parade is concerned.
Okay.
In fact, last year we had a unit pulled by a horse. I haven't seen that. There was
No,
a
we haven't
like
seen-
a hay wagon last year, I think. I see a chief is checking out our equipment, make sure it's all up to snuff.
I see. Well, of course, right above us, everybody's being judged.
Yes, well, that
So-
is the judging station.
Right.
Also, the horns and sirens are supposed to be demerits. They really don't want them making a lot of
Oh,
noise.
dear. Well, it hasn't restrained anybody, that's
No.
for sure. Okay, well, we've just seen Rowayton pass by, and the Stephen Driscoll Memorial Pipe Band is going to be bringing in Thornwood. The Stephen Driscoll Memorial Band.
And Thornwood's come down with quite a number of pieces.
We're going to the local live.
Matt, how is it going tonight?
It's an excellent night. You know, we started off a little warm, but it's finally cooled off. We had an amazing crew that we were working with, volunteers, LMC-TV staff, and everyone in between, and they toughed it out through this hot weather, and we're here now bringing this event to you live. Everybody's doing a wonderful job, and I just want to say thank you to all of our volunteers, staff, and crew. You guys are just the best.
Thank you for putting this all together and letting us be involved.
Hey, absolutely. And again, you know, LMC is still looking for the firehouse down the road. So we're here at the Fireman's Parade. We're still that's still in the works. So something to keep in the back of everybody's mind.
Thank you. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Here you go with Thornwood, and you'll see that they're.
We've got Thornwood.
Yep.
Now, it's hard to talk over them.
And they've got that antique Model T Ford. Goes back to 1917. A lot of elbow grease on that one.
Beautiful.
Oh.
What a beauty.
There you go. Just look at the difference in size from then to now.
I know.
And I think he's pulling a hand pumper is what that other unit is that he's got off the back of it. Yeah, that's how he used to pump the water. He used to get that near a lake or a pond or something, and guys on the handles, and they pump like crazy to get the water flowing.
How many buildings were really saved?
Well, we saved the foundations.
Okay.
But they were all small wooden structures in those days also. But the big problem was the spread. That was really the issue because everything was wooden
was
structure. And
how did the word get out to the fire department?
somebody in a lot of towns, they had the bell. They went church steeple and they'd ring bells. There was a lot of different communication methods. The worst being the smoke in the sky.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of a primitive way of knowing that there's a fire department. Well, I think we have New Hyde Park coming up behind us now. But, a lot of people didn't know, but in the village of Mamaroneck, we used to have a signal.
Yes, we used to have the air horn go off
Like a
up
pop?
right up until the time they built our new firehouse. We had the air horns. They had talked about putting them into the new building, but never seemed to have happened. But there is still air raid siren on Volunteers. There's an air raid siren on the top of Mamaroneck Avenue. I don't think we've heard that one anymore.
but I
Halsted Manor still has one that goes off.
Really?
That's the
Well,
one up on
fire
Halsted
horn
Avenue.
used to signify where the fire was.
Yes,
right?
they actually, I still have a chart at home. Every corner in the village of Mamaroneck was assigned a number. And you could tell by the count on the horn which section of the town. One section would start with 2s, another with 3.
Right.
Oriental section started with 5s.
And I see, and you're telling me that, right? Because I would stop wherever I was and start to count the horn when you were away from home.
Well, also as volunteer firemen, you had some idea where you were headed out.
Ah.
We didn't have beepers and radio communications when those systems
Hard to
existed.
imagine, but that was like 30 years ago.
Yeah, it's amazing how far we've come,
It is.
Absolutely. Now we're even broadcast onto our phones now. I get the message on my personal
I'm sure
phone.
you get an alert.
The alarms come in, they're sent to our phones. So,
As they should be. I mean, there's no reason
in
not
fact,
to.
we can even use Waze to find the house. Dial in the
Or
address.
ask Siri. Google Maps. Okay, New Hyde Park, I would think.
It looks like New Hyde Park is pulling one of those old-time hose trailers. It looks like they wrap the hose up around it, and they pull it manually or by horse. They would pull it to the fire scene and use the hose from a hand pumper to get water into the hose.
Now, there used to be an old truck parked behind Walter's hot dog stand.
Yes, that was an in-service ladder truck here. It's a 1917 vehicle. Unfortunately, it's sitting back there going to seed. Members of the Walter family actually bought that when it went out of service, and they've kept it back there across the years. Looks like we've moved to maybe the 4th Division.
Did
Alice?
we miss White Plains? The Yonkers Military Band. Yes, we're in the 4th Division. I can't believe it, Ken.
There we go. Actually, the hose cart we were talking about was White Plains.
Oh, okay.
And next up should be Elmsford with the Yonkers Military Band. I wonder if you had to be in the military to be a member of the band.
We're going to go to the local live now for another interview with Rebecca Berman.
Hi!
Hi!
Hey, we're here with Mike Witch. He is the Vice President and Secretary for the Board of Directors for LMC-TV. Mike, how are you?
I'm great, and it's a great parade. And on behalf of the board, I really have to thank all of the volunteers at LMC. I see more than a dozen here, staff and volunteers, and Vincent's who loaned us a truck. And we've got our new technology. We're streaming live on the internet and on our channels. So it's a great day for the community, a great parade, great technology, and great people.
Well, thank you, and thank you for talking with me today.
You're welcome.
You're probably finished.
Welcome back.
All
We've
right.
got Yonkers Military Band marched in Elmsford.
Right. And
Was that the X Factor?
X Factor should be the next group up, I believe. Where did we get by here? And Celtics Cross that's coming to us. I imagine it's another pipe, I would think,
Elmsford.
but I could be wrong. But we're
No, we're
moving
seeing
through a
Elmsford.
number of units. We had Elmsford. We're in Glenbrook, Connecticut, town of Greenburgh.
Right. Well, Elmsford just is right on our screen
Elmsford just
right
went by us. So
and they were
Greenbrook,
brought in by
Connecticut
the
would be
Yonkers
next.
Military Band. Now, Elmsford will be followed by Glenbrook.
There you go.
How many units has Glenbrook brought us?
Actually, Glenbrook's all part of the Greenwich Fire District,
Oh,
town
okay.
of Greenwich Fire District. They have a number of different companies that have units.
Just a lot of- There they are.
Okay, Glenbrook's coming by. Next, we get the X Factors coming up. The gentleman in the yellow shirts.
Right, and they're bringing in the town of Greenberg.
And they're a drum line. Just looks like drums, basically.
Yes.
Cymbal, drums and cymbals, looks like.
Well, they're not called the X Factor drum line for nothing.
There you go. A little footwork. We're going to get a little footwork right in front of the viewing stand. Give them a show. Town of Greenberg is another section, has a number of fire districts and different fire companies within the town of Greenberg. You've got the Greenberg section, you got the Hartsdale section. There's a couple other units up in that area. Kind of got the crowd into it, don't they?
We have the fans. They were great.
Looks like we're
Joseph,
talking
and I'm
to
going
fire
to let him
chief.
introduce himself. How are you?
Fine. Good evening. My name is Joseph Ricci. I live in this town for 50 years. I came from Italy, actually.
Oh, you are? and how do you relate to the Indian?
I used to work for the recreation department, and 1 year we came up imitating the people who live in this village years ago. So I choose Chief Indian Wapa Wibum, who lived in Mamaroneck in 1661.
Wow, that is great.
And he sold the land to John Richbell.
I love a piece of history about Mamaroneck. That's very exciting.
Yes, that's a beautiful history. So every year on the parades, I portray this great chief that used to live over here.
Well, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
Well,
all right, then just
the
see.
drum line was just fabulous.
There they are.
All right.
They can get 2 sodas and 2 hot dogs.
Well, I'd like to know what awards they win.
Yes, I'm sure they put on a good show for the judges. I'm sure they'll go home with a trophy of some kind. And we're back here with the town of Greenberg, and they've got a 1936 Sealand fire pumper. And it looks like an ex-chief driving one.
Nice is our last band of the evening, the Celtic Cross.
According to my list, Darien brought down a pretty good number of units too. We've got a pumper, a tower ladder, another pumper, rescue tanker. See them coming up behind us. Let's see if they get close enough with the bagpipes for you.
This is our last band of the evening.
Okay.
And they're bringing in the Darien, Connecticut contingent.
Yes, which has brought a lot of equipment.
They have.
And they have the ladies working with them also. Some of the departments do have a ladies auxiliary as well as active female firefighters. So
Does
I'm
the
not
village of Mamaroneck have that?
we do have both. Yes, we do.
All right, Ken, we're going to go to another interview with the local live. Rebecca Berman is interviewing today.
I am here with two very special guests. They are Christina Forrest kids. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. So who do we have here?
Anthony.
And who are you?
Sophia.
Are you guys having a good time tonight?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you like best about tonight?
I like the firefighters.
How about you, Sophia?
I like the loud noises.
Oh, the loud noises. And is that your mom giving you a flag?
Yeah.
Okay. It was fun talking to you guys. You have anything else you want to say about July 4th?
Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th of July.
It was fun talking to you guys. Thanks.
Bodega, New Jersey is the last unit coming in.
Welcome back. We're coming down the road to the end of the parade tonight.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. How did that
Actually,
go
it seems
so
a little
fast?
shorter this year.
It did. Well, tonight we had 30 contingents marching,
Contingent.
and we've had, I think, at a maximum of 39.
Yes, we have had
Now,
a
was
couple.
this parade dedicated to anybody in particular?
Well, we were celebrating for Doug Barron on his being his last parade,
Right.
and we also had past chief with the 68 years of service, Bud Wright.
Sure. So, okay.
Was in the parade, but I don't think we're
Sometimes it's dedicated.
Sometimes it's memorialized to a
Right.
particular person.
Right.
So far.
Now, behind us is the contingent from Darien, and we've got 1, 2, 3 more. Oh my
That's
gosh. So as we said before, fireworks are Wednesday night on
Wednesday
the 4th.
night, right? And
at the harbor.
If you've purchased one of our tickets, that will be drawn about 10 o'clock on Saturday night. So you can
Okay.
go down and join us for the finale.
Hard to believe it, but it's almost another year gone by.
How about that?
How did that happen?
When we started this, Alice, we didn't have grandchildren.
Oh, that is probably true. But that's because we stopped and waited as our kids grew up.
And engine 38 is ours, so that means this is the last unit coming up the street.
Wow.
So the evening has come to an end.
Well, just
Another
about.
good story coming to an end.
Well, there's so much to talk about, you know. As soon as this truck passes, we will talk.
Yes.
Another event pulled off without a snafu, as far as we know.
Went off well.
It went off beautifully.
Done well.
There's
Done
so
real.
much going on in our community. As I mentioned before, LMC-TV is now located at the Mamaroneck Town Center on the 3rd floor, and we welcome everybody in the community to come by and say hi and see our new digs. So please come by. The studio opens at noon. Also, we're all used to seeing our television in HDTV, and we think LMC should be broadcast in HDTV as well. So if you're inclined, please go to the LMC-TV website and sign the petition encouraging our municipal officials and the cable companies to broadcast LMC-TV in HD, because we deserve it.
There you go.
All right. There's lots going on in the village of Mamaroneck. The Tiki events that LMC sponsors are going to be going on. There are concerts at the harbor. There's so much. Just go to the Village of Mamaroneck website and you can stay up to date with all that's happening. Let's have a little bit of a shout out to our crew. Man, there's so many people who make this happen. Our producer tonight is Christina Carino Forrest. Louis Simons is our director. Brian Sullivan, Dina Schumacher, Ken Corbin, Ray Oida, Sophia Cook, Jason Milan, Stephen Eloisa. Of course, Ken, thank you to you. You Sardaval, Stephen Brazilian, Stila Shapizawa. Rebecca Berman has been our interviewer. Matt Sullivan, congratulations to Matt Sullivan, our new executive director.
There you go.
Matt does more than everything. And who have I forgotten? Anybody? If I have, I apologize right now. But it has been a great night, and it couldn't happen without the hard work of so many people. Ken, same time next year?
Same time. The exciting part of this thing is going to be getting off this platform this evening.
We're not even going to talk about that, and we're going to make sure the cameras are turned off. To all the folks at home, we want to thank you for watching. We hope we've brought you a great parade. We know it's a great parade, and we hope you were watching if you weren't here watching it live. I'm Alice Bloom. We'll see you next time.
Good night and be fire safe.